everyone. Welcome to Dean's Chat, where we discuss all things podiatric medicine. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Jensen. I am the Dean at the Arizona College of Podiatric Medicine and the host for this show. Today's Dean's Chat is a bonus episode, one that I hope you will find to be both interesting and inspiring. It really is a story of perseverance and human triumph. My guest, Scott Scooter Metcalfe, is competing this summer in the Adaptive Surfing Professionals World Championship Tour. These competitions are being held in Hawaii, Costa Rica, and California. Scott and I have been longtime friends. He grew up in Menomonee Falls, Wisconsin. He received his bachelor's degree at UW-Madison. He began a lifelong career as a park ranger and an outdoor adventurer. Everything from rock climbing, mountaineering, ultramarathoning, surfing, and whitewater rafting. In fact, Scott has climbed El Capitan, which was really made famous by the Free Solo movie in 2018, featuring Alex Honnold in a ropeless ascent. So Scott, that's just incredible. However, all of these activities and all of this adventure came to a halt one fateful day in August 2017. We're going to share his story today, and he is actually joining us from Waikiki, Hawaii, where he is competing in the first leg of the World Championship Tour. Scott, welcome to Dean's Chat.
Right on. Well, what we do is the shaka, so that means everything's aloha, everything's all good.
Oh, that's fantastic. Scott, before we get talking about your story in particular, who makes up the community of adaptive surfing professionals?
Well, the Hawaii adaptive surfing community has been a forerunner in the whole movement. And now we have been really added to with great enthusiasm from the Brazilians, and the Japanese are going to have a leg someday, from Wales. We've got 101 athletes here for a 1-week competition. The finals are Saturday, the 13th, and they are constructed of 18 divisions, including my division is below knee standing amputee division. So we are for real on surfboards surfing one of the most famous surf breaks in the world called Queens. And there's 18 divisions, including Wounded Warrior, which is military. And there's above knee, there's the obvious below knee, there's blind, there's upper limb extremities. And then if people are confused a little, they do prone on like kayaks that are all blinged out, like customized,
wow,
for your fit and everything. So it's quite a burgeoning community. And, I want to state for the whole podcast that for me, this is about recreational inclusion, and it's empowering, it's emotional,
Absolutely. So. Well, we might as well dive right into it, Scooter. I know that back in 2017, hopefully you'll be willing to share the story with us. You had an accident and it left is it your left extremity?
Yeah, it's my left tib fib.
Right, completely crushed. And in medical terms, we would call that a mangled extremity. And do you mind just sharing your story? I mean, with all the activities you've done in your life, it must have been just an incredibly sobering experience to go through an incident like this. Please share with our audience.
Yeah, and I'll try not to get too off, but I was a full-on county lifeguard in Maui, which is really glamorous and cool and everything. But I had a mortgage, I bought a place and stuff. And so I accepted a job offer within the same department to do parks and recreation. Within that, we malama ba'aina, which is Hawaiian for we care and respect the land, the parks. So I was carrying some brush that we cleaned up after a windstorm, and I went down a hill that was too steep, and I rolled the vehicle, the tractor, and it crushed my tibia and my fibula, and I need to really emphasize to you all that I had such an adrenaline rush, and had I not been an Ironman caliber athlete, we might not be having this conversation. To this day, Jeff, I hadn't had any pain from that direct trauma. I had such an adrenaline dump. And then my friend was a former pro receiver with all kinds of orthopedic injuries, and he had some meds on board. And he said, Scooter, you want some of these oxys? I was like, I've never done oxys in my life. Yes, was the answer. And then within 8 minutes, I had fentanyl and a main line of morphine on board from our incredible paramedics across the street. It was just serendipitous, So to this day, I didn't feel any pain,
Well, and there's a reason for that, right? Because your nerves were destroyed. Share with us the first month or so after this occurred. You had been admitted to the hospital. You were admitted with a mangled extremity. And just so that our listeners know what that means, it's a limb injury with at least 3 out of the 4 symptoms compromised, meaning soft tissue, bone, nerve, and vascular. And Scooter had all 4 of those systems compromised. And then there's also a term called the MESS, Mangled Extremity Scoring System, which when you add up all the scores of these components, they tell us whether or not there's a chance to save the limb. And certainly it was a valiant effort on behalf of the doctors to try to save your leg, right?
Absolutely. Just, a shout out to people like Gene Franco and Jimmy Herbaugh and his wife and you for, I think you jet set it in within like 5 hours or something incredible. And to not have that support network would have been really difficult. Yeah.
Sure.
So, but what came to my mind in the complications is I got pummeled so much with turf that there was quite a debridement process. It wasn't like one and done, ho hum, slap on the back, you're ready for surgery. It was surgery for the debridement, and we're talking 4 of them.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges, and if I'm remembering this correctly, was making the decision to go ahead with the amputation because your limb that was left was not functional. And one of the biggest concerns for the surgeons was making sure you had enough of your tibia available so that we could fit a prosthetic on it. Can you talk about that process a little bit and
Absolutely.
Your mindset?
I am specifically 11 centimeters, which is a very, very short BKA. And then for people that aren't metric, it's 4.25 inches. And so I would say in my back to the surfing, it's the most difficult for me out there. And then there's a gentleman, Carter Perry, who has way more complications that just, he has a new lung and such, But so I'm a short BKA, and I have endurance issues, which is ironic since you and I combined have probably run over 200 marathons. And but my heart's strong. It's just I get fatigue and pins and needles and pain in my residual limb.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I know immediately upon getting the prosthetic, I thought to myself, if anybody could get through this process, it's Scooter, And I know that you worked so hard in getting active, ambulating, climbing, but you really were struggling with fit with this prosthetic, right?
Yeah. In fact, I had to go and the savior was Dr. Jeffrey S. Marasek at Keck, he was. And then he got a big time Tiger Woods contract to go. They bought him away at Cedar Sinai. Okay. This guy is a hero, and he fixed me. And I had a more than 2 centimeter osteophyte, and the prosthetics outfit that I was going with, North Shore Prosthetics, they were in their infancy and they didn't quite have the technological advancement and technicians to deal with that. Specifically, they use a single point attachment cuff that goes into your prosthetic. And that was like pain shooting to the moon. Okay. And I kept trying to explain it to my original orthopedist and stuff. And Maui's a little bit behind the times with that. And as you told me, Maui, they treated me like a king there. I had a penthouse, overlooking the ocean. And so you helped me with that. But I was like, there was that moment of indecision where I'm like, should we step it up here and fly me to Stanford or at minimum Queens Hospital in Honolulu or Harborview? And then you and I talked serious stuff. And you confirmed that Dr. Smith and Dr. Ayers, that they did the best that they could do. And the nursing staff was like uber, like fantastic. And, and I did things like vegan diet and vegetarian, and I mega dosed with things like turmeric and ginger root and mushrooms. Yes, not the magic ones. I had mega dosed on rhizomes and such, which played a part in this. And you and I both meditate, which is important. You see and have known how amped I am and how much passion I have. So the passage meditation was really important. Another indecision that I had is like, you have athletes like Alex Smith who had a similar situation, nowhere near the crushing. I had a 1-ton vehicle land on my leg. Right. So Alex Smith had a 300-pound line, dude. So he was more amenable to full recovery.
Sure. So Scott, how long did it take after you had the surgery and after you had your first prosthetic and you had multiple other prosthetics? How long did it take till you felt like, all right, I'm going to start paddleboarding and surfing and trying to get back to some of the activities I did before?
Well, you'll get a kick out of this. I mean, I have exactitude. It happened on August 10th, 2017 at 9:38 a.m. because I had my iPhone and I had my watch and everything, and I called my 911, and then I called my girlfriend at the time, Jane Franco, who's amazing, and we activated EMS, and then she got a hold of my best friend who you've climbed Kilimanjaro with, James Herbaugh, and they met me at the hospital, and it was enlightening. I mean, it was really important.
I guess I was fast forwarding. My apologies. I was fast forwarding to when you had all these prosthetic issues, right? And you had to get a new prosthetic, and you had a revisional surgery. How long after your accident did it take for you to feel like, okay, I'm starting to feel normal again? I can start paddleboarding and surfing. I mean, was it 2 years, 3 years? How long was that process?
So long-winded, before I got out, 45 days after in October. And so pretty much right out the door, I wanted to get in the water. So it was within, I believe, 1 month after, because we didn't want to get sepsis, or MRSA was a huge factor.
Sure.
So I got in the water, I believe it was again, 40 some days later. Okay. And I'll never forget catching the wave, because I had a brand new Jimmy Lewis stand-up paddleboard that I use to surf. It's really smart because it has higher volume, it's more stable. And shout out, Jeff has a Jimmy Lewis board. They're amazing. and I caught it, and Jane helped me right out my door. I'm blessed. I live right on the ocean. We're talking 40 meters. And I damaged the board because I took the ride all the way in, and I kind of hit a little rock outcropping, but no big deal. And it was like, oh, that's worth it, no problem. But I got off the subject. I was highly motivated to get back into the water right away, but I became a hermit.
Okay.
I didn't want anyone to know or see. To this day, I'm not 100% over the hump, the psychosocial hump. Like, I wear pants when I go out salsa dancing or whatever, I wear. If I don't want to be the focal point, I want to guarantee that in a situation, an event, I'll wear some quick pullover pants,
Sure.
And I have them in my car all the time.
Oh, I would imagine the psychosocial part is every bit as challenging as the physical part.
Well, yeah, I'm gainfully single, and I've embellished and embraced that lifestyle, and the things that go through your mind are numbing, because you go, oh well, would anyone ever see me attractive again?
Sure. So let me ask you this, Scott. What you're doing right now with these world championships in surfing is mind-boggling to me. And is surfing just like the next step from stand-up paddleboarding? How does that work?
Yeah, the Kelly Slaters and Tiger Woods of the world would say that surfing and golf are the two most difficult things to do. Because it takes there's full body experience, and then add 3 dimension to surfing, etc. With the fluidity of the tides rising, falling, and the wave action. And so, yeah, we are on shorter, generally thinner waves, and they have configuration of fins to set up so we can keep a line on when we traverse the wave, and it's really difficult. Like, I'm no shame. I mean, I'm not going to win this contest. It's really only the 4th time I've done a surf competition, and surfing is like my 5th priority, because I made money, and this might be a secret to you. I don't think you know, but I got paid to play baseball in southern France when I got out of college, which was amazing. And then, ironically, because you were a better athlete than I was, and we had an incredible team where people got like tryouts for Kansas City Royals, Scott Ormond. But so there's irony there. But I got paid. I worked 2 Winter Olympics, and I professionally ski patrolled for 13 years at Crystal Mountain in Washington, and I worked the Vancouver Olympics up in Whistler, and the Salt Lake Olympics up at Soldier Hollow and Park City. So I took those to another level with my climbing. Not only, your father and your brother turned me on to climbing at Devil's Lake State Park in Wisconsin, which is incredibly underrated for the quality of athlete they have put out there. And then I went on. It's a theme here, so I'm hanging there with me. I take everything to another level, and so I couldn't just be satisfied with that. Climbing at Devil's Lake, I became an outward bound instructor because of Hofer's Outings Club at the University of Wisconsin, which is the most important outings club, one could argue, in the nation for a college. So we climbed with them. I started whitewater kayaking on the Wisconsin River, that dam there. I took that to another level with Outward Bound, the Voyager Outward Bound School in northeastern Minnesota, Ely, this magical town. And then I really took it to another level. I started boating Class 2, Class 3. Class 6 is Niagara Falls. I have run Class 5 plus, the Zeta Rapids on the Food River. And then I guided all around the world, Zimbabwe and Costa Rica, and on the Gauley River in West Virginia, and Chile. So we have all these setting up. And now with my surfing, I'm all in now because of the energy that I'm feeling with 101 athletes from 20-some countries out my door 100 meters away across the street at the famous Waikiki Beach. Everyone has heard of Waikiki.
Of course.
So,
So you're going to do all 3 of these world championships.
Funding is a major issue. So, I have a GoFundMe site, which we'll talk about later. But this, you can see, like with the climbing too, I became a climbing the climbing ranger at Devil's Tower National Monument, which is an amazing piece of rock. Then, because of you, Jeff and I bicycled from Madison, Wisconsin, ran 2 marathons, and made it to Longs Peak, Colorado. Well, it has a special place in my heart. And we lived there. He met his wife. He was romancing Celia Moynihan at the time with letters every day, and ended up marrying her. And now he's had this beautiful marriage, and which is a beautiful story. But the point is, I became the Longs Peak mountaineering ranger working for the famous Jim Detterline. And, I was a glorified body recovery specialist. I became because of my ski mountaineering skills.
Right.
So I went to Denali, Mount McKinley, and I was a full-on, does it get any bigger than that? One would argue maybe Chamonix search and rescue. I wouldn't. Denali is the real deal. And it is, you're working at 20,220 feet. 17,800 feet, which Jeff was at our high base camp, our high camp. Right. Yeah. So
that's unreal. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the adventures we did in a bit. I want to swing back around to this GoFundMe page you have, Scooter, because I think there's a lot of people that would support your effort, and really this whole story is resonating, and the recovery from the injury, and the passion and the perseverance and everything that goes into becoming the surfer that can compete in a world championship. It's unbelievable. Can you share with us more about the GoFundMe page? And then we'll also make sure that gets posted in the links associated with the podcast.
Well, the GoFundMe is help Scooter surf the adaptive world championships. And I'm not in the business. First thing that I wrote, I think texted you, I'm not in the business of begging people for money. But there's a lot of expenses, and it's not just the hotel and the travel, and these boards, are thousands of dollars, and you need to protect them in airports. So you have to have padded bags. You have to stay in touch with people. So you need, technology like, an iPhone. I have an iPhone 8. I should probably upgrade at some point. That's not the point. There's a lot of expenses, and you try to do things like, I got to the contest here. I paid for everything at first, and then I met people. And this is, you guys have heard the word aloha. You live it. You are aloha. You're aloha. And so we met people. I met people here, and next thing you know, I'm staying in the Hyatt, and we're going to split expenses. So people are gracious. And he's competing in the assisted prone division. He's a C5 spinal from Ocean City.
Wow.
Shout out to Scott Davis. He's a sweetheart. And the Hawaiian word for sweetheart, and you can be male, female, is ku'uipo. He's a ku'uipo, and it's just wonderful. This community just embraces you. I'll shout out to Eric Welton at North Shore Prosthetics. He's a below knee amputee. I winged it in Maui, and I was like, prosthetic conference? So I went to it. First, I went out of my way, and I saw this person with this beautiful graphic on his prosthetic. And we've had a friendship since my trauma, and he was my original prosthetist and did me so well and treated me like a king. And his technician, Ted, just really helped me out. And then now, because of the technology, I switched to POA. It's Prosthetics and Orthotics Associates of Hawaii. Cameron Lehrer is my man. He's a surfer with a disability. So these guys are the real deal. We say Kanaka is the real deal Hawaiian. It means real in Hawaiian. Kanaka Maoli is a real Hawaiian person. So there's a innovator in this industry that your people want to know about, and it's Stan at poet at POA of Orlando. So I got to do a little better with that. So it's just really, really good stuff. They've really, really helped me
That's awesome.
with North Shore Prosthetics and then POA,
Very good.
And it's not an exact science. They're not great. These they can be improved. We need improvements.
Right.
Exact example is that I have my everyday prosthetic, and boy, do we need like vitamin A and D ointment, and things like that. I've taken it I use organic coconut oil as my lubricant for my synthetic liner, customized synthetic liners. Wow. But the point is, then I hop into my surf prosthetic. Well, if I have to take my board 300 meters, 200 meter, whatever distance from the parking lot of my car to the surf, I don't have give. I don't have a carbon fiber Oser foot that has give in it.
Right.
My everyday, I can go walk, and for 20 minutes I can go, and then I have a sit down usually,
Sure.
But I can run 5 kilometers now, and I have a mini cheetah, but is it fun? I think you and I are kind of over it. We've run around the world, we've run over 34,000 miles.
Sure.
I don't need to run a marathon again, but I do sprint triathlons. I've done the Lani Kai, and I'll probably do the Honolulu, and it's joy. It's fun,
Sure.
Bike, run, swim, and they're short distances.
Hey, Scooter, what message do you have for people that have had spinal cord injuries, or, they're blind, or they've had a traumatic incident that leaves them with a spinal cord injury? What message do you have for them for getting out and getting back into the world and doing things? They don't have to do world championship surfing, but there has to be a message underlying all of this.
Well, I have a message for the doctors, and then it'll go into us people that are disabled. And the message is that study more nutritional science, and don't do 1 hour of it or ridiculously the amount that you're doing currently. Because if I didn't get on a whole food plant-based diet, it's a high alkaline diet, and that also is that the ocean is high in alkalinity. And then spritzing a lemon into your lukewarm water as a start to your day to get your digestive process going. And clean living is really important. So doctors also, with your prescriptions, you have to be very, very careful with addictions. And it is in the news because if I didn't have the personality of a person like you and your brother, we're ultra marathon runners. We felt pain in our lives, 100 miles into the Western States 100 miler, whatever. You cannot be pushers of opioids, and we need to, cold turkey out the door of the hospital. And to this day, maybe I had one naproxen, 400 milligrams, and that was a few days ago after I did a really intensive stand-up paddleboard session. So I am off all drugs, and I use turmeric. I megadose on turmeric and ginger root and mushrooms. I have a Rise is a company that you have an additive for your coffee in the morning. And you know how much you and I like our coffee.
Sure. Sure.
And then I'm going to go further with this. We need to stress that the people need to have a holistic lifestyle. I'll start before that. Don't become a hermit. Join a club. Join a paddling club. Join a pickleball club. Join a board game club. And then you'll get a tribe. We're using these really appropriate words these days, that get your support network that is your tribe. I'm a solo kind of guy. I don't like to paddle open canoe 6 people. I paddle OC1. I paddle Outrigger 1. But I still have friends. But another thing is people that are toxic, you need to turn and walk away and remove them from your lives, because the Hawaiians, they're saying is Iamua. Iamua physical therapy helped heal me. Pedro Ferrer, he's Chilean, he's a surfer. He's like known as the godfather at Honolulu Bay, this most famous surf site. And Colin Fuqua, these people, man, they had me doing Indo board. I can do 5 minutes on an Indo board, so I'm Uber, I'm their poster boy.
Right.
They literally want a poster of me at Iamua Physical Therapy. And I can surf Honolulu Bay and stuff now. And, but so holistic lifestyle, yoga. I have practiced yoga since I got the devil, Denali, and that was 1999. And I can do the aggressive yoga, which is Ashtanga, but I do yoga Nidra and any yoga, and all people can do yoga. It's like surfing. You will surf one day out my door in Ma'alaya. Everyone can surf because of the technology. You go thicker, wider, longer, but your diet, I mentioned, you got to eat real colorful things. That's fruits and vegetables. If people are, it's too complicated. No, let's uncomplicate it. Grab colorful fruits and vegetables and dump the colas and dump the white sugar and dump the carbohydrates. You did. And I'm not a food Nazi, but in my condominium, I'm a member of a CSA, a consumer supported agricultural co-op. I get a delivery every Wednesday on the clock, 1 o'clock, and I make a 2-gallon vegetable soup. Really, it's vegan, but you can't say that. The joke is if you're around at a party and there's a vegan, how do you know it? And the punchline is, they'll tell you. Right, how aggressive people, but sure. I'm not that. I say be well-rounded and go out and get a big, juicy, but happy, free-range burger, with your buddies once in a while, but don't eat one 5 days a week.
Sure. I'm with you. I was just thinking as I was looking at your Jimmy Lewis hat, I got to get one of those for the summer out on the lake.
I'll make it happen. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, with the active lifestyle, it's not just about surfing. It's about hiking. It's about stand-up paddleboarding. It's about this guy's a incredible fisherman. I fish out my door, and it's therapeutic. You and I meditate. Meditation has taken me. Have a lot of passion and a lot of energy, and I get really enthusiastic about things. And so the passage meditation is my template for helping me to calm down and be, as I'm dominating this conversation, a better listener.
Yeah, those are all significant and incredible pieces of advice for coping, for sure. I totally get that. So, Scooter, I was going to ask if you would be up for shifting gears a little bit. I wanted to talk about a little bit of the climbing we did together.
Yeah.
I'm skipping over the rock climbing part, but I was going right to when you and I were doing speed ascents down in Mexico, climbing up Popo with crampons with the front edges sawed off and racing up and down the mountain. And we would leave Cokes up on the summit so that anybody would say, most people took 12 or 14 hours and we were up and down in 5 or something. That was fun.
It was incredible. Yeah. And for people to get to know Jeff, he's amazing, go without question, but he's the kind of guy, you'll be sitting in a tent in Vientos Blancos on Aconcagua, at 18,000 feet, and he'll have a napkin and a pen. And he's like, well, Scott, what do you think about this? And he'll be like creating an invention or a medical patent. You've got 10 medical patents, correct me if I'm wrong. And so it's like, it's just delightful to be around a person that everything they are associated with gets momentum. I'll say it. My word is everything Dr. Jensen touches turns to gold.
Oh, geez.
So, his sons know that, his daughter know that, his wife knows that, and his friends know that. But to go further, Aconcagua is the highest mountain in the Western and Southern Hemisphere. It's big air. It's 23,000 feet. And, we do it very, very scientifically. You and I are believers in science, and we paid our dues with our heart muscle. We have trained our heart muscle with the 42 triathlons I've done, several Ironmans, and people ask me what Ironman. No, there's only one Ironman. It's the Ironman. It's Kona. And you can have all these franchises, but the real deal, to me, for ultramarathoning, the Super Bowl is the Western States 100 miler, and people could argue that. We've been involved in that. Jeff did a Leadville, which is, one could argue, is the most important.
I was going to touch base. I've told a story before about when we were climbing on Denali together, and you were a ranger and you were used to helping people in trouble, and you made sure we didn't get in trouble, but you had that park ranger cache up at 17,000 feet, and you said, we can sit here for a month if we have to wait for good weather. And fortunately, we didn't have to, right? We only had to wait a few days, and we summited on a day of, 25 degrees in the wind or 15 degrees or something. So, Scooter, those were just the greatest times. I really appreciate you taking time to join me on this podcast, and your story is just phenomenal. It's an inspiration for me, and I'm sure it's an inspiration to all. So thank you again for joining me today.
Well, in Hawaii is the proper pronunciation. We say mahalo nui loa kane. Thank you very much, man.
You're welcome.
And I love you to the moon and back, and I care. And I care about these athletes. Access Surf, 2s's.org, deserves funding. Is it any more important? Yes, cancer is important. Very well funded. But disabled and accessibility is really important. These are human beings. And it's not, I don't want to get myopic. It's not just Americans, it's worldwide. Deserve prosthetics and stuff in the Ukraine right now and such, So accesssurf.org can get people links to proper inclusivity with recreational inclusivity. I hope I coined that term.
That's great. I think doing shows like this, Scooter, and seeing your passion will really give legs to a lot of those efforts. So thank you so much. And
at minimum, with pardon my interruption, with the GoFundMe, just share it. Just share what is out there, because it's about the athletes getting involved, or becoming an athlete. Maybe some of them have never been an athlete.
Absolutely.
I'm going to share one last short story.
Okay.
At the event here, one year, I believe it was last year, and it's in the video. A woman was like wheelchair bound, and she was just at Waikiki vacationing. And Kara Short, the executive director of accesssurf.org, she's this angel, and her husband Craig, they grabbed her and said, "We're signing you up. We'll waive the whatever." I don't know the details. They got her in the competition, and she is quoted as saying, "That changed my life."
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great, Scooter. All right. Well, to our listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll get this posted up on YouTube, and we'll get it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And Scooter, we'll get a whole tribe out there supporting you. And as always, we'll see you all next week. Give us a 5-star rating, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and as always, cheers. And Scooter, I'm sending you one of these cups. It says Dean's Chat, okay?
Right on, shaka.
All right, bye-bye, everybody.